So you already allowed me to share. So great. So guys, girls, gentlemen, everyone, you know what? Real estate is amazing. Real estate investing is amazing, and we all love it, of course. And here I'm going to be speaking to you why self-storage is this amazing, amazing asset class. But let's be honest. Let's be honest. Why are we truly like doing all this? I love self-storage, but what I'm truly more passionate about is freedom. It's freedom. We are here for potentially financial freedom. Many of us think right away of investing as a financial freedom, of course. But let's think about very busy doctors. I mean, they probably have that financial freedom, but they probably don't have the time freedom. So I feel like freedom, there's so much more than just financial freedom or even time freedom. We can have free all day long, not doing anything, but we probably don't have the real freedom. So what I love this quote is freedom is really realizing you have a choice. It's a choice what you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it, where you want to do it. And real estate investing gives us this access to it. So, and there's all these amazing asset classes, but with you, I want to talk about self-storage and why I chose self-storage as an access to that freedom. And just to say, I'm going to be talking about comparing self-storage with other asset classes. Nothing against other asset classes. I always look at, oh my God, multifamily. Oh my God, senior living. Oh my God, short-term rentals. And I'm like, just Masha, come down. Masha, come down. You gotta focus. You gotta focus. So, and that's why I've been strictly focused on self-storage, and I just love it. And let me tell you why I love it. So first of all, you probably heard about it. It's lower management and lower maintenance cost. So statistically, if we look how many employees in general, statistically on average in the United States is 1.5 employees. Okay, so that's how much. Let's compare it to multifamily. We got 5.5 employees. It's definitely sounds like much more management, much more work needs to be done. And yeah, it's paying salaries and all of that requires. So self-storage definitely has advantage over it. And one of what we don't actually have even employees, like we have boots on the ground. I call them also facility caretakers. They don't actually, we don't pay them benefits. They don't work full time. They're not sitting in their office and picking the nose, trying to figure out what to do with them, because there's not as much movement going on. I mean, there is movement going on, but having full-time employee only if I have like a large facility. So we have those boots on the ground who come visit the facility a couple times a week, check on us, doing all the verification, and that's great. Another way how we also have not employees, but really someone who's working with us is virtual assistants. And I've been super obsessed with virtual assistants. I recently, I've been more like type of self-managing the self-storages. And now I actually hired a virtual assistant who's going to be my virtual manager, and I'm training him. So that way it's just helps out. She's actually coordinating. We have also a call center in place, by the way. So it's call center, boots on the ground, and we have virtual assistants, all of that connecting together, created this amazing fluid system. So on top of that, talking about the humans, I'm nothing against humans. I love people. But humans, I'm not a human hater. Humans tend to make errors. Okay, and sometimes it can be by mistake and sometimes on purpose. So what, I mean, in self-storage, in that matter, you reduce that risk. And on top of that, why do you really need someone? So we have a kiosk. You can have a kiosk that's just right there. You come, you choose your unit that you want to rent. But even that, we all actually have kiosks in our pockets already. It's this type of kiosk. So when you pull out that kiosk from your pocket, what you do if you want to look for the self-storage, you will go to Google, you put self-storage near me, and you find whatever website, go pay, sign up, fill out your information, give you a driver license, and boom, you got the unit and you got the code to enter that facility. So you enter the facility, you got your special code, and sometimes you can even have a Bluetooth entry. So you don't even need to code. So in your phone, this is more upgraded systems that they can have, and that's it. Beautiful, beautiful. So that way you're reducing all the management and you have just the technology already automates everything. Okay, so obviously if you're being able to reduce human error, remove salaries, benefits, you decrease your expenses, you increase your cash flow, increase value, and of course, increase your returns. And we are all here, of course, for those returns. Investor, no matter you're a passive investor or you're active investors, we want those returns to go up, 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 up. So let's keep moving. Tenant landlords laws. So with self-storage, we have no evictions and we love it. We just have auctions and we talk about it later. So no evictions, no commission to broker, no turnover cost. Beautiful, less hassle, less problems. So you probably guys heard about storage wars. Such a real, right? For sure, very real show. I mean, let's be honest. It's all cool. First of all, we're doing online auctions. There's no fun experience where everybody's betting, trying to win that storage. No, none of that. It's not that fun. We're trying to get that tenant out. And that's the point. We want to get them out because they're not paying. They're wasting our time. They're wasting the space where we can be renting for someone who can afford it. So our job is really to keep them out. And we haven't found no Ferraris. We haven't found antique paintings so far. The most expensive one we sold for was $90. And the tenant was owning us like, I don't know, $200. So it's really just get them out of it, get maybe something back and get them out of there. And depending on the state, it takes about a month or two to get them out of there, depending where, eviction processes are much more complicated. So, and on top of that, when you get them out, you have this unit, you don't have to paint walls, you don't have to go fix appliances or anything. You just have sweep it out, check on this, and that's it. It's ready to rent. No need to hire a realtor either to pay commission to find. Okay, let's keep moving. How much I'm on time? I can go very deep here. Okay, so next, why I love self-storage is this sticky factor. So the customers tend to just stick around. They come there. I actually know I was just recently talking to my friend. She's like, yeah, I rented the unit for thinking I'm going to get it for 2 months. She's right now staying there 6 months. So they just tend to stay longer. They think they come for that amount of time, and then they become a bit lazy to go move all their stuff or something happened, and they just sticking around. The last facility that we got a tenant that's been there since 1992. Incredible. Next, of course, it's a flexible lease terms. We're able to increase rates really easily. We don't have to wait for the contract to finish. Depending on the supply demand, we can increase some rates higher, some rates lower. So we have so much flexibility. We can even get rid of some tenants. I know, we had one tenant that was very rude, and we actually we bumped her price up and to get her out of there. So it's so easy sometimes just to really even get rid of some bad tenants. So when you increase the rent, you increase the income, increase the cash flow, increase the value, and again, we're increasing our returns, and everybody is happy. Let's keep moving. Oh yes, so obviously talking about the flexible lease terms. So people also tend to put so much stuff there. We get so much of the things that we won't be able to move out, even if we increase those rates. Let's say we bound those rates $30 or $50 and $10. Moving all that stuff is just so much hassle, and people just they would prefer to pay extra to then even the next door facility can offer a lower price, lower rate. They're still not going to move because they don't want to go through this process. Dynamic versus static pricing strategy. So you've probably heard about the hotels and even airlines. You go right now to buy a ticket, and you didn't buy the ticket, and then you come back tomorrow and you're like, oh my God, the price went up. So self-storage has similar also pricing strategy. It's not as quickly changing, you typically not going to come and see it's changed the next day, but it uses the same algorithm, when they look at the demand supply. So we analyze always the market. We're looking at, for example, in our last facility, when we did the mystery shopping, you will figure out what's the pricing competitors are charging. We find out that there was so much more demand for bigger units than for small units. So I know that increasing the rates for larger units was just so much without any problem, because people can just find smaller units. We had to be a bit more chill about increasing rates because there's still a lot of units available. So you just have to, we can always evaluate, look at the market, what's going on, and maximize your income, maximize the profit by using the dynamic pricing. Now I'm going to talk comparing a bit multifamily and storage. So let's look exactly statistically how much both asset classes bring per square foot. And you might be like wondering, how come multifamily brings less per square foot than storage? Because storage has smaller units, right? If you're looking at apartment sizes and you're looking at the storage unit sizes, they're smaller. And typically you'll make more money for smaller. So realistically, if you look into a size of 100,000 square feet of storage or multifamily, you statistically will make more money with self-storage. And I love you, multifamily. Please don't take it wrong. Next one, expense ratio. Multifamily, you're on average already 50% about give out to your expenses, where the storage statistically, it's 30%. Depending again on the market, depending on the asset, it's all just average prices. But on our first facility, like we underwrote it at 35%, and we end up actually getting at 27% expense ratio. Isn't it amazing? So all that extra money goes in our pockets, and the partners' pockets and investors' pockets. So also you probably would think, right, storages. So there's probably not as many storages. Why would you would even consider investing in storage? If you look at the unit count, there's more storage units than single family, or there's apartment units or mobile home parks, mobile home park rentals, homes themselves. Again, you wonder why, how come? Because again, storage units are small. We have 5x5 sizes, we have 5x10s, but there is more storage units than any other type of units. And the most shocking situation, okay, let's say when you're driving around and you're looking at, you're seeing McDonald's, you're seeing Starbucks, you're seeing Dunkin' Donuts and all those places, and you're like, there's so many of them. The funny part, there's more storages than all of those combined. Wendy's, Starbucks, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, and Pizza Hut. There's less of them than storages. And on top of that, storages by size, what is it? I don't know what size of Starbucks usually. They're just like one Starbucks, and storages are much larger. So there are opportunities. There are definitely opportunities. And now we're going to go just statistics of historical statistics. So self-storage have a higher returns statistically since 1994 to 2017 compared to other asset classes. And you've probably heard that self-storage is recession resilient. During the 2008, 2009, and 10, self-storage had the least loss in their asset class. And the most amazing part is also virus resistant or COVID resistant, however you want to call it. It's actually self-storage actually increased. They actually were more successful, which was so much shocking. The occupancy rates went up. Everybody just making like self-storage is thriving. Everybody's like surviving during COVID. So that was like a really great asset class to get into during COVID for sure. So, and it's, yeah, so let's keep moving. And lowest default rate. So meaning that into the statistics from 2018, self-storage had the least default rate. Because so there was less foreclosure. You don't really see, oh, let's buy a foreclosure, like foreclosed self-storage. This doesn't really happen. I mean, it's only 0.04%. So when you have a low default rate, what happens? Banks love it, of course. So you can get a safer loan and best leverage. We have an opportunity for SBAs. Some people like using SBA. If you're short on cash, you can even leverage up to 90% LTV. And so you have to only put down 10% plus all the fees and all other closing costs. And of course, as banks also allow it, lowest default rate, Investors also love it. And I love it myself as well, of course. So, and again, coming back to thinking how much opportunities there are in self-storage, and compared to multifamily, 50 plus units. And in self-storage, there's still, this is a statistic from like 1 year ago, I assume, or 1 or 2 years. So there's about still 50% of them owned by mom and pops operators. Okay, so there are still those opportunities for you to find those value add deals. Where with multifamily 50 plus, there's about 7% that has those type of mom and pop. There is much more multifamilies, don't get me wrong, and especially smaller in general than self-storages. But there's still, there, you don't typically find a multifamily in a small little like town. Self-storage, you need self-storage everywhere, even in a like rural area. You don't have apartment complexes in a rural area, obviously. So self-storage, you can find those little town of 1,000 people, they still need storage. So there's this opportunity to go to those little markets and find opportunities. So, and obviously when you're talking about those mom and pops, you have those low cost value adds. When we come to, again, like doing single family, you have to, like, you come and you have to do all this rehab, right? You're looking how you're going to add that value. You're going to change this kitchen. It's so much work. The beautiful part about self-storage, a lot of times is managerial value adds, or like marketing, where they don't really do a proper, like, they don't have proper management in place or systems in place. Like on our previous storage that we bought, they were still, the property manager was answering phone, and he wasn't always answering his phone, and he was just not really professionally taking care of it. We came to it and put a call center in place. They always, they have much they pretty much all day from early morning until late night, they answer phone. So how much more possibilities for us to get that tenant? Or for example, they were still signing leases in the office. There was such a waste of time and effort. So this just simple things like this that doesn't really cost you money. We didn't, when we invested in bulk storages, there was no like rehab costs. Like, so in that manner, those value adds, they're more a managerial, putting system, more like you need to know what you're doing than having like too much money. And of course, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times you can like put money such as doing an expansion project. You can buy a facility where you have additional land and you can build more. That's another value add opportunity. And lastly, there's a plenty of facility incomes. What we're doing on one of our properties right now, we're actually going to be offering more about an RV storage. We have additional land, and we will be offering parking spots, like you can call it vehicle storage or parking spots. And we can start off with just open air parking, and we can potentially upgrade to either canopies, putting just a roof on top of that, or even put building at some point. So there's opportunities to do that if you have additional land. So also I've heard that many people who had opportunity to put cell towers, or they bought already facility with cell towers, if they have that space, it's more like probably in a larger, obviously, land, but the company puts for you there, you don't do anything, and you just receive that income, and it could bring you 1,000, 5,000. Same with billboard. You can put a billboard, you don't do anything, you don't have any expenses, it's just there, and it brings you that additional income. And of course, we have fees. We've implemented a lot of fees when people are late. Some people just love to be late, so they always paid it constantly, additional $15 every month, which is amazing. If you sum it up, having several tenants paying additional $15 every month, it comes up, it's increased that value, and it actually increases your returns at the end. And there's other like auction fees and cutting the lock fee. So there's definitely an admin fee. And so this is pretty much sums up everything about why self-storage is an amazing asset class. And how we're doing on time. Perfect. I'm already actually there's so many charts, so I'm finishing up. So why is great, but Masha, how to really like invest in self-storage? And you know what, we all want to get to that freedom, and how to get to that freedom quicker. We can be stuck in the paralysis by analysis. I am famous for being stuck in that paralysis by analysis for sure, over analyzing things. And how can really we overcome that? how we can overcome that. And one of the best ways is you also want to be lazy. How do you want to be lazy? You have to be strategically lazy. How can be strategically lazy? Is actually join the mastermind. That's it. You sometimes don't have to figure out everything yourself. And let me think of what mastermind you can join. Let me remember some of that I've heard before. Oh, W2 Capitalist, of course.
I love it.
And I mean, honestly, I don't know if I would get that first deal, if not the mastermind. I mean, first of all, I don't know if I would have gotten such an amazing partners. They were just earlier speaking that because of this mastermind, I met them. But on top of that, that first deal, that example, they just insisted, Masha, put that offer already. Put the offer. I was just like over analyzing that deal and already, but they were there to support. It's having that, the team, that mastermind with you and helping you there on a weekly basis. And also, if you are interested to learn more about self-storage particularly, I would like to invite you to my Freedom Lounge. That's going to be happening on June 1st. I'm going to be holding this webinar. You can go to scan this barcode, or you can go to mklap.com and join there. I'm going to be sharing with you my freedom flow formula of talking about systems, eliminating things, automating, delegating, and empowering people. And this way, I mean, if you're interested in any way, and if you're not really interested in it, you can just connect with me through my email, or you can fill out the survey. This is going to be an easy way so I can learn a little bit more about you. There's actually what asset classes you're interested in, what type of investor are you, what experience you have, what challenges you have. If you fill out the survey, that will be a quicker way for us to get in touch. And or you can just always just Google my name, not Google, I mean, go to LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever, Masha Klapanova. And I'd be so much happy to be able to help you on your journey to get to that freedom. Thank you.
Awesome job, Masha. Congrats. I love the use of the QR codes, by the way. That was awesome.
Of course, automating stuff, right?
That's it. And thank you for the shameless plug for the mastermind.
Of course.
That's awesome. And
Jay didn't ask me to do that. That was a surprise for him. I think
it was a surprise. Yeah. And I want to encourage you, if you're here, you're not involved in a mastermind, definitely get involved with one. And I've got a YouTube video on some things you need to look out for and kind of different masterminds. There's one question I saw in the chat from Nick. Masha says, do you have a typical resource you'll find these self-storage locations to purchase? Like how do you find these properties to purchase?
For me, they were all through relationships. Both of actually deals that we got were from wholesalers. But it's really through connecting. And the funny part is the second deal came from one of the, also we have a great guy who does mobile home park investing in a mastermind. And he actually referred me, he bought a deal from the wholesaler, and then his wholesaler sent him a self-storage. He's like, I don't have to do anything for self-storage, but I know Masha. So first of all, it's really connecting with people, and start talking about it. For me, it's really, I just started talking about self-storage. I was showing up with the self-storage background everywhere. And it just, so people start associating me and self-storage. Yes, it was Victor. Exactly. It was Victor. And on top of that, so there's wholesalers, obviously brokers. But again, with brokers is connecting with them on a, probably having that broker that's blasting to so many investors and putting a listing there. It's going to be hard to compete putting offers. I personally don't like to be competing over like so many other like 20 offers on this deal that's so much exposed. It's really getting that for somebody smaller that doesn't have the big exposure. This is one way. Another way is that I've myself recently started building my own list of storage owners. But to be honest, I've been having like that enough of deal flow from all the connections. It's really signing up and having right now, I have a virtual assistant who is helping me with the deal flow. meaning that she's actually helping me to input data, do some simple market research, not do the analysis or like underwriting, but really helping me to putting all the data together for me to quickly be able to analyze. So it's building your own list, and there are several strategies. You can buy some lists, but I for right now is one of the strategies is really looking and finding those deals that they're doing a really poor job on the Google they're doing bad job with the marketing. So you can find those that are just doing bad job online, and you can find those and you can potentially reach out to them, like doing skip tracing in the same way as with other type of asset classes.
And I will just piggyback on a couple of things you said there. And number one, drive for dollars. I know who was it earlier this week talking about drive for dollars, because not all of the mom and pops are on Google. Recent part of our nomadic life that we're in right now. We were in Tennessee for a while, and then we had a need for self-storage. I Googled self-storage near me, like 3 popped up, and I was like, there's 3 a lot closer than these are, and we went and were driving around, and I found like 15 or 20 that did not have an online presence. And I basically started dialing to get those. And Masha, I don't know if I told you this or not, but the one that we eventually found that had one opening, one occupancy that we were able to get, they didn't even have an office in the city, and they had to mail me the contract to sign.
Wow.
They mailed it to me with a self-paid stamped envelope or whatever, and I had to sign it and send it back and all this. Yeah, it was wild. So I want to ask you though, with when you find properties like that, what is the average cost? And I know it probably depends on size and scope of the facility, but what is the average cost to get something into the 21st century from a technology standpoint that still does all paper, get them away from paper essentially? Do you know?
So of course, I mean, number one thing, I mean, is putting the gate, right? And on average, putting the gate and all of that system, it's going to cost you about $5K. Okay. 5K. Okay. And then we have also, you put obviously cameras and everything else in general, like technology wise, is a software. So it's really a software, and establishing a software is not really expensive. It's just monthly fees that you will be paying after. So this was just like really simple technology that you put in place.
So very minimum setup to get rid of the whole paper.
Yeah.
Yes, Nick, thank you. It was Matt that mentioned that. Puneet, you ask, what are 3 sources of books that were game changes for you, Masha?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I was reading the chat.
What are 3 sources or books that were game changers for you?
Of course. So definitely AJ Osborne. He is a leader in the industry. He's really all about sharing knowledge and spreading with everybody else without offering $100,000 coaching. So I mean, he does have an amazing also coaching, but I have been personally read his book, which is you can like wealth through self-storage investing, I believe, but it's by AJ Osborne. It's a #1 book on self-storage. And regarding, he's also has the best podcast. So he's just constantly been releasing. So he is a #1 resource, I would say. On top, he's a leader, and he's really sharing all the information on self-storage. You can go again and YouTube and Instagram. He's just a massive content producer. He always have guests. So it's not only him, he always has amazing guests that he brings on. So
is it the growing, or the Investor's Guide to Growing Wealth in Self-Storage?
I will drop it on the chat.
Is that it? Oh, wrong one.
AJ Osborne.
Maybe that one's it.
Right here.
But that was one. Puneet asked for 3.
The investors. So that was like 4. What this was him.
Oh, did you go through? I'm sorry. I was trying to find that book, the first one. What were the other 2, real quick?
Oh no. So I was talking that about his podcast. Is
okay.
I mean, there's other podcasts, but I would say his podcast is a #1 podcast. Again, he's just a leader. And if you more like video content or on social media, on Instagram, he's always just he does a whole team of research. So he's really researching right now. He's talking about that how much a lot of markets are oversaturated in self-storage, obviously. So you just have to be doing his, so if you're about short content consumer, Instagram is a great way to learn. Or if you're about like longer, he has amazing YouTube videos on that. So let me show you that this is his book. Here you go. And he's also, another source I would really recommend is really conferences. There's so many great conferences, self-storage industry. There's a self-storage association that holds on. I always go there. It's like an amusement park, so much fun. There's a trade show, there's networking. In general, like all the conferences are cool. And they have so many, there's all the states pretty much organizing their own. And then they have big ones that they do in Las Vegas or Orlando or Tennessee. So there's always something happening. Going to those, they're not crazy expensive, and they're definitely worth if you do have interest, like a lot interest in self-storage. And if you want to know exactly which, the biggest one is ISS, which is let me just go inside self-storage. So this is like a magazine, and they're like a website, and they do big shows. Or SSA, which stands for Self-Storage Association. They're doing also, like, they have Florida self-storage in North Carolina, so Texas is a huge one. So those are really, I always have so much fun and so much networking, and I come back exhausted mentally and physically.
I love it. I love it. I want to go back to something you said at the very beginning, is that you focus on self-storage. That's your niche. And I envy that, because just hearing you talk, I'm like, all right, let's go find some self-storage. I see Hollis shaking his head. Yeah. A few people are shaking their heads. Yes. So it's, Michael, Barbie. I don't know. There's a lot of benefits to it. And just recently what we went through in Tennessee when we were trying to find a place, the demand was there, or it is there. So it's.
Oh, yes. And the thing is also like people are still moving. I think people will keep moving. And if they're stopped, one factor that's not going to stop is baby boomers. Baby boomers, they are, unfortunately, they are
downsizing.
Away. They are downsizing. They are going to like senior living, or they're going to their kids to live. So that's just factor that's not going to stop. So there will be demand more for self-storage, and we do tend to buy more things. Who stopped clicking buy on Amazon? People just more and more buying things. So that's the reality.
Yeah. I think I get an A for effort, but I'm horrible at that. It begins with a thought, an idea that keeps growing in your mind. You spend days, months, or even years just simply thinking about it. There are many ways to get started, take action, and make progress, but both you and I know the best way is to have a guide as you surround yourself with like-minded people. Peers who are on your level that are actively taking the next step. You'll feel empowered, and your competence will breed confidence. Having so many options to choose from when purchasing a real estate investing educational program, you'll soon find out that just a few will understand your thoughts, your fears, and your expectations. For the next 6 weeks, I will be your coach. Grasp your vision, create realistic goals, and diligently apply what I've learned from investing since 2014, and deliver a framework for you to build your experience and portfolio. Seating is limited. Register today.